What's up guys, this is the MT-07 2025 and today it's finally time for my first service. I'm excited for two reasons. First, it means I can finally ride this bike like it's meant to be ridden, and secondly, I waited a whole month because it was too busy at the dealership and pretty much every other garage. Now yes, I could have done the first service myself, it's just an oil change, but I wanted to keep the warranty intact, plus I've negotiated with the dealership that the first service would be free of charge, so why not? But this video isn't just about dropping off the bike at the dealership because that would be boring, let's be honest. We're gonna talk about the break-in service because this is something most riders like myself hear about but don't fully understand. So I'll quickly explain what the break-in service is, why it's necessary, and we're gonna talk about two different ways to go about it, the soft and the hard break-in. This topic gets quite controversial according to the research I've done, and with research I mean watching YouTube videos at 3 AM. So when you buy a new motorcycle, your engine isn't fully ready yet. Motorcycles are built extremely well nowadays and with very tight tolerances, which means they are fitting extremely well, but they still need to wear in, and I'm talking specifically about the piston rings and the cylinder wall. So let's take a look inside the engine using my superb drawing skills, which I don't have. Inside the engine is a metal tube called the cylinder, and in the cylinder you can find a piston that moves up and down really fast. Below the piston is the crankcase, and this is where you have your engine oil and it keeps the moving parts lubricated. Above the piston you have a combustion chamber, and this is where the fuel and air mix together and ignite. The piston ring separates the piston and the tube while making sure the gases don't leak and the engine oil doesn't go to the combustion chamber. If this seal isn't perfect, your oil is gonna sneak into the combustion chamber and it will be burnt, which is bad for your fuel consumption, and you'll have less power and less compression. So that means more wear. Eventually this could lead to engine problems. During those first few thousand kilometers, the tiny metal particles end up in your oil, and that's completely normal. But it's also the reason why we need to do an early oil change, otherwise it will damage the engine components over time. Every motorcycle goes through this and requires an oil change after 1000 kilometers or 1000 miles if you're in the US or UK. I don't know why that difference exists though, because 1000 miles is actually 1600 kilometers, so why are we changing the oil earlier exactly? I don't know. If anyone does, let me know in the comments. But that's also why I messaged my dealership, hey, I'm a little bit over the 1000 kilometer mark, does that matter? And to be honest, he didn't really care. He said it was not that serious, but I'm a scaredy cat, so I wanted to keep the warranty intact, and this was a relief. But it also reminded me of the first meeting I had with him, where he explained that motorcycle engines are so well put together, especially the CP2 engine, that it doesn't really matter. And that brings us to the two camps that have very different opinions on how to break in a motorcycle. You have the soft break-in method that's pretty much recommended by all manufacturers, and you have the hard break-in method that goes against that advice. The owner's manual recommends to stay under 5300 RPM for the first 1000 kilometers and then do an oil service. After the service you still need to stay under 6300 RPM until 1600 kilometers, and it's recommended to not stay in the high RPMs and to avoid overheating the engine. Now the hard break-in method flips that logic completely, and you basically ride it like you stole it from day one. High RPMs, full throttle, high speeds, whatever you want. People who do this claim it helps the piston ring seat faster and lead to better compression and also more power. I don't know, to be honest. I've seen a YouTube video from Motorcycle Magazine with like 1 million views where they basically tested this whole thing by building two identical engines and breaking them in completely differently. One was broken in soft and the other hard, and after 1000 miles they took both engines apart and measured everything. There was basically no difference. Both engines were perfectly within spec, no extra wear, just two healthy engines. They did feel like it was necessary to emphasize the fact that they are talking about 300cc motorcycles, so if you try the same hard braking method on a 15,000 RPM super sport, I don't know, who knows what might happen. If something goes wrong in the early braking period, a defect in a valve or a piston or your brakes, anything, it's a lot safer at slow speed while you're staying under 5000 RPM and not doing double the speed limit. High chance that you're still getting used to the bike, new fresh slippery tires, new brakes and different handling even. Motorcycles are meant to be enjoyed, so I don't think you should nerd out too much like I'm doing for this video. I was just curious, I wanted to make a video about it, but otherwise I wouldn't really care, to be honest. That being said, I did break it in quite relaxed, and it's difficult to not open up the throttle, especially coming from an MT-125. Those 125cc's need to get abused to get up to speed. Anyways, I've done a little bit of speeding here and there. And by the way, if the police is watching this, I'm lying for content. I always drive the speed limit, and I'm using AI if I'm not, okay? Alright, we're here at the dealership now. I'm gonna get the oil swapped out, check everything over, and after that we're gonna find a nice straight piece of road and see what this thing is capable of from 0 to 100 km/h. I'll see you guys in an hour. Alright, we're back, done with the first service. The guy said I can just do whatever I want as long as I let the motorcycle warm up properly, but that's just regular business. You should always be doing that. And here it is. Let's test this thing out. Met some really nice people there. We had a little bit of talk. She asked me why I was filming. I was so embarrassed, but she was really curious to hear about my YouTube channel. And even though I was awkward and embarrassed, I tried to have a nice conversation, and I really enjoyed that. So shout out to her and her husband, I think. I hope everything still works as it should. I haven't paid a single penny, by the way, so it was actually completely covered. I didn't pay any hourly rate or anything like that, so that was nice. So now all that's left to do is get some fuel. By the way, I want to quickly show you guys something. You can adjust a whole lot of things. I may have to make another video on the dashboard alone, but here you have the shift indicator, so it flashes when I go above a certain RPM, and usually it's the red line when you're getting close to that. But now it's initially set at 5,000 RPM and the final blink is at 6,000 or something. I don't know exactly, but we're gonna bump this stuff up until like this. I don't know. We'll do 7,500 RPM. Brightness, you can even adjust that. Night and day, just the same is fine. And the indicator type, it's flash or off or on. Let's keep it at flash. Alright. Oh, self-pay. Thank God. Even less human interaction. You're my sweet little princess. You're getting the 98 treatment. Poor MT-125. Never saw even a splash of 98. Maybe I shouldn't have filled it up completely, because it's probably gonna affect the 0 to 100 km/h, but start a competition with a dog. I think I win. He looked away first. We're here at the place. I think this is a perfectly safe spot to do a 0 to 100 km/h. Hey, I'm not a professional, so don't hate me, please. I'm just trying. I'm gonna try and launch this bike, and I'm just gonna see how it goes. Let's go. I short shifted so much. Oh my god, I'm not used to going that high in the RPM. That was really fun though. Wow, the acceleration in first gear is crazy. Shit. Oh guys, I'm enjoying myself too much. Bear with me. There's just so much power in second gear. I know the second gear can go almost until 80. Holy shit, it went to 100 and it could even go a little bit longer. I don't know, is that the fastest way to do this? Oh guys, you're gonna have to be happy with that. That's it. Okay, I think we're gonna try one more time, okay? Let's see how this goes. I have no idea what times I'm doing. So let's just see. Let's go. I don't know what that was. Felt pretty good. I don't know. Woo. That's stressful. Bro, that first gear acceleration, it genuinely feels like the wheel isn't on the ground anymore, but just in a way that I'm not used to, you know. I'm pretty sure it's firmly on the ground, but whoa. Okay guys, that was it for the video. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the second part where I was sort of moto vlogging. I also filmed a video inside of the store, which I was talking about when I mentioned the two people who approached me. But the video I filmed inside of the dealership was kind of a guide to buying your first beginner bike. I went over some bikes, some pros and cons. It wasn't a really planned video, so if you want a more in-depth video, just check that one out at least, and then let me know what kind of bikes you're interested in, and I'll see if I can make another video on that. With that being said guys, thank you so much for watching. If you've gotten up to this point, you're one of the diehard fans, and I appreciate that. Let me know something in the comments, like a code word. For today it's 125cc. That's it, because my acceleration was just as slow as my MT-125. Oh man, I completely forgot this thing also needs fuel. It's gonna be a very expensive day today.